Yes, he absolutely was. My mother and father are responsible for this.
Okay, right. I haven't heard much about mommy, so I want to talk a little bit about her too. But if we can, let's go back to the very first time this happened and kind of walk us through from there, if you will.
Hmm. Well, I think maybe I should start with a little bit of background, if that's okay, Cory.
Absolutely.
I think, thank you. I don't think that people really realize, it's been wild to watch the reactions and things in terms of people thinking that because you see someone on television or because you shook their hand one time or something that you know them. And, unfortunately, again, in my life growing up, I love and honor my parents. I love and honor my parents. This is, if my children, if they didn't do this and take my children and be weaponizing them and dangling them in front of me, then, I wanted to handle this as a family issue and something I thought that they'd be proud about. But growing up, I was blessed in certain ways, but there are a lot of other things that people, we all experience hardships. We all experience different forms of abuse. And, we haven't talked about my mom a lot, who Adam was with the day that he went missing. And growing up and in my life, my mother was my covert abuser behind the scenes. And, my father abused in a different way. And if my mom was abusing me, then she wasn't abusing him. And there was a lot of infidelity. There was drug use, in their past, and a lot of stuff that went on in my upbringing. I grew up with aliases and bodyguards and telling people I lived places when I lived other places. And, it was definitely a different upbringing that people don't really realize, and how you are positioned to have to show up for your parents and for the cause and for your brother and have the emotions that they need you to have. So, that growing up was very, to keep it brief, it was different than people would assume, I guess is the way to put it. As I got older, my parents at 8 years old started shopping me to therapists and taking me around looking for a diagnosis on me. This is very, a lot of people might, think what I say sounds a lot like something with Britney Spears and a conservatorship and things like that once we get to it. But they did start shopping me at 8 years old for a diagnosis. They never got treatment or, help for anything having to do with my brother, anything to do with their situation, when he was taken or their marriage after. They went through a 10-year divorce with restraining orders and protective orders in the filings. And suddenly they were, reuniting, and they were staying married and things like that. So, it's just been a bizarre upbringing. And as I got older and had children of my own, and especially when I left New Age and I left the industry and all of that, I really started seeing a lot and questioning a lot. And that's when I started looking into my brother's case, and also the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and was very alarmed, and everything that I've talked about is documented, is court documents and real firsthand documents. So,
Right.
whereas there's the headline, John Walsh, has to save his 4 grandchildren from his crazy daughter. And why is my, newborn in foster care, where he quotes the majority of child trafficking comes from? And why isn't he doing anything about it?
Wow. Wow. Go ahead, Marlon. All I want to say is, Marlon, you go ahead, because you probably boiling as much as me, right? I got something I want to ask
Go
you
ahead.
so bad.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Martin's smiling.
I have mine written down. So go ahead.
All right. So this is, I told myself, I said, save this question for last. But I'm over here. I don't know. It's something just moving around, and I got to know. I want to know how you feel. I want to know your thoughts on this. And this might be a little deeper. It might be simple for you, but I really want to know if you could ever find it in yourself to forgive your father and your mother for what they put you through and your children.
Thank you for asking that, Cory. And to be honest with all of my heart, I've already forgiven my parents. I've already forgiven them. I mean, when you, if everything is true and if they have been involved in stuff and everything, I mean, what a place to be in, and how did you get there, and why would you do this? And Lord have mercy on your soul. I truly pray for them every single day. I text my father and ask him to do the right thing.
So at what point, and I know, and I want to get to Marlon, because I know Marlon got some amazing stuff, but I really this is just like just moving around in me. I can't stop it. At what point did you forgive them? Because I know you had to resent them. Well, let me say I can't say you had to. I would say I would have resented my parents for that. And I assume that maybe you did. I don't know. But if you did resent them at one time, when did you forgive them and how did you do it?
I think that's a great question. You know, having been shopped since I was 8 years old to therapists, by the grace of God, I actually was able to turn that, you know, to my own benefit. And eventually over the years, I mean, I just turned 40 last Friday. And, you know, over the years, I was actually able to, you know, turn that into how I can help others, how we can really see that our hardships become like a great life purpose for us and a great director of how we can help others that have experienced similar. I went into specializing in trauma and things like that. So for me, you know, to have been, you know, this is my family. This has been going on for decades, and their pain is great. You know, their torment is great. And so I really do just want them to get help. The reason why I have been able to forgive them and not hold resentment, I mean, Lord knows I want to, you know, punch somebody's head off at many times during this. Almost every morning, you know, we get up and we have the attacks and we have to, you know, pray and get on with the day, right? But you know, the bigger picture is that my parents, whatever they've done in the past, and I don't even know exactly, I wasn't there, that is their responsibility, and that's under God. You know, I want them to do what's right and return my children and leave us in peace and come clean to whatever that is. That's not my responsibility, and they should not be exploiting my children and I in the way that they are right now.
I got more, but I got to save it for later because it'll take up the whole show. So
Yeah.